You know that feeling when you finally settle into bed after a long day, ready for a good night's sleep, and then it starts. That aching, restless sensation in your legs that just won't let you rest. If you're nodding your head right now, you're definitely not alone. I was talking to my neighbor Marie just yesterday. She's 67, loves her evening walks around the neighborhood, and has always been a great sleeper. Until recently, Marie told me she'd lie there at night, tossing and turning, with this uncomfortable feeling in her legs that she couldn't quite describe. It's not exactly pain, she said, but it's not comfortable either. It's like my legs want to move, but moving doesn't really help, and it's keeping me awake half the night. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you've experienced something similar, or perhaps you're watching someone you love struggle with restless, uncomfortable legs that seem to act up just when it's time to wind down for the day. Well, I have some really good news for you. This is something that can often be managed with some simple changes to your daily routine. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's have a chat. Before we jump in, let me put you at ease. Everything we'll cover is designed to be doable and realistic for active seniors like you. And of course, always check with your doctor before making big changes to your routine, just to make sure everything's in line with your health. Ready? Let's get started. Before we dive into solutions, let me share what I've learned about why this happens in the first place, because understanding the why can help us tackle the problem more effectively. What Marie was describing, and what many folks over 60 experience, often comes down to a few key factors that tend to become more common as we get older. First, let's talk about circulation. As we age, our circulation can become less efficient, especially in our legs and feet. Think about it. Your heart has to pump blood all the way down to your toes and then back up again, working against gravity. After decades of this work, sometimes our circulatory system needs a little extra support to keep everything flowing smoothly. When circulation slows down, especially when we're lying flat at night, blood can pool in our legs, creating that heavy, restless feeling that makes it hard to get comfortable. It's like your legs are sending signals saying, "Hey, we need some attention down here." My friend Robert, who's 74 and still works part-time at the local hardware store, explained it perfectly. He said, "It's like my legs are telling me they've been working hard all day, and now they want to be pampered a little." Robert discovered that his nighttime leg discomfort was much worse on days when he'd been standing for long periods without much movement. Another factor that contributes to nighttime leg discomfort is something we don't often think about: mineral deficiencies. Specifically, low levels of magnesium, potassium, or calcium can contribute to muscle cramps, restless sensations, and that general feeling of discomfort in our legs at night. Now, I'm not suggesting you start taking a bunch of supplements without talking to your doctor first. That's always important. But I am saying that what we eat and drink throughout the day can have a real impact on how our legs feel when we're trying to sleep. I learned this from my friend Patricia, who's 69 and has always prided herself on eating well. Patricia started experiencing terrible leg cramps at night, the kind that would wake her up from a sound sleep. When she mentioned it to her doctor during her annual checkup, they discovered that despite her healthy diet, Patricia wasn't getting enough magnesium. The doctor explained that as we age, our bodies don't absorb nutrients quite as efficiently as they used to, so even people with good diets can sometimes develop deficiencies. Patricia made some simple adjustments to include more magnesium-rich foods in her daily routine, and within a few weeks, her nighttime leg issues improved dramatically. There's also the issue of dehydration, which is more common among older adults than most people realize. We tend to drink less water as we age, sometimes because we're worried about nighttime bathroom trips, and sometimes because our sense of thirst isn't as strong as it used to be. But mild dehydration can definitely contribute to muscle cramping and restless leg sensations. My neighbor Bill, who's 71 and loves spending time in his garden, discovered this connection by accident. Bill had been struggling with nighttime leg discomfort for months. Then, during a particularly hot summer week when he was spending extra time watering his plants, he noticed he was drinking more water to stay cool. To his surprise, his leg issues improved significantly that week. When Bill mentioned this to his wife, she pointed out that he'd been drinking much more water than usual. They decided to experiment with maintaining better hydration throughout the day, and sure enough, Bill's nighttime leg discomfort became much less frequent and less severe. But here's something really important that I want you to understand. Nighttime leg discomfort isn't just about physical factors. Our daily habits and routines play a huge role in how our legs feel when we're trying to sleep. The good news is that this means we have more control over the situation than we might think. For instance, how we spend our evenings can make a big difference. If we're sitting in the same position for hours watching television, or if we're completely inactive in the hours before bedtime, our legs might not be getting the gentle movement and circulation boost they need to feel comfortable at night. I think about my friend Dorothy, who's 73, and loves her evening routine of watching her favorite shows after dinner. Dorothy used to settle into her recliner around 6 p.m. and stay there until bedtime, barely moving for 3 or 4 hours. She couldn't understand why her legs felt so restless and uncomfortable every night when she got into bed. Then Dorothy's daughter suggested she try getting up and moving around during commercial breaks, or even just doing some simple leg stretches while she watched TV. Dorothy was skeptical at first. It seemed too simple to make a real difference. But she decided to give it a try, and within a week she noticed her legs felt much more settled and comfortable at bedtime. The key insight here is that our legs need gentle, consistent movement throughout the day and evening to maintain good circulation and prevent that restless, uncomfortable feeling at night. It's not about doing intense exercise, it's about giving our legs regular opportunities to move and stretch. Another thing that often contributes to nighttime leg discomfort is the temperature of our sleeping environment. Many folks don't realize that legs can be particularly sensitive to temperature changes, and being too warm or too cool can trigger uncomfortable sensations. My friend Helen, who's 68 and has always run warm, discovered that her heavy blankets were actually making her leg discomfort worse. Her legs would get overheated during the night, which seemed to trigger more restless sensations. When Helen switched to lighter bedding and made sure her room stayed cool, her nighttime leg issues improved noticeably. On the flip side, my neighbor Frank found that his legs felt more comfortable when they stayed warm throughout the night. Frank started wearing lightweight, loose-fitting pants to bed instead of shorts, and found that keeping his legs gently warm helped prevent the cramping and restless feelings he'd been experiencing. The important thing to understand is that small changes in our daily routines can have a big impact on how our legs feel at night. We're not talking about major lifestyle overhauls or complicated treatments. We're talking about simple, practical adjustments that work with your body's natural needs. Now that we understand some of the reasons why our legs might be giving us trouble at night, let's talk about the 4 simple changes that can make a real difference. These aren't complicated medical treatments or expensive solutions. They're practical adjustments that you can start implementing today. The first change involves something we do every single day without thinking much about it: how we move or don't move during our regular daily activities. I want to share what happened with my friend George, who's 75 and retired from his job as an accountant about 5 years ago. George was experiencing terrible nighttime leg discomfort, the kind that would keep him awake for hours. During the day, George's routine was pretty sedentary. He'd have his coffee and read the newspaper in the morning, watch some television, maybe do some light housework, then spend his afternoons reading or working on crossword puzzles. By evening, his legs felt heavy and restless. George's wife suggested he try adding what she called movement breaks throughout his day. Nothing fancy, just getting up and walking around the house for a few minutes every hour or so. George started setting a gentle timer to remind himself to stand up, stretch his legs, maybe walk to the mailbox or around the backyard. The difference was remarkable. Within just a few days, George noticed his legs felt less heavy and restless in the evenings. Within a couple of weeks, his nighttime leg discomfort had decreased significantly. The key was giving his circulation regular little boosts throughout the day, instead of sitting for long periods without movement. This first change is about incorporating gentle movement into your existing routine. You don't need to start an exercise program or join a gym, though those things can certainly be beneficial if you're interested. What we're talking about is much simpler. Standing up and moving around for just a few minutes every hour during your waking hours. You might walk to the kitchen for a glass of water, step outside to check the weather, or simply stand up and do some gentle stretching while you watch television. The goal is to keep your blood flowing and prevent it from pooling in your legs during long periods of sitting. My friend Ruth, who's 70 and loves spending hours working on her quilting projects, found a creative way to build movement into her crafting time. Every time she finished a section of her quilt, she'd get up and walk around her house once before sitting back down to work on the next section. This simple habit kept her legs feeling comfortable throughout the day and dramatically improved her nighttime rest. The second change focuses on what I call evening preparation. The things we do in the hours before bedtime that can either help or hurt our chances of comfortable, restful legs at night. This is where my friend Marie, who I mentioned earlier, found her breakthrough solution. Marie discovered that elevating her legs for about 20 minutes each evening made an enormous difference in how they felt when she went to bed. She didn't need anything fancy, just a couple of pillows propped under her legs while she sat in her favorite chair watching the evening news. What Marie was doing was helping her circulation by making it easier for blood to flow back toward her heart instead of pooling in her legs. After a long day of being upright, giving her legs this gentle assistance helped them feel more comfortable and settled by bedtime. But elevation isn't the only evening preparation that can help. Gentle leg stretches, light massage, or even just taking a warm bath can help relax leg muscles and improve circulation before sleep. The key is finding what works for you and making it a regular part of your evening routine. My neighbor Tom, who's 72 and has always been a practical, no-nonsense kind of guy, was skeptical about the idea of evening leg care. But his wife convinced him to try some simple calf stretches while they watched their evening television shows. Tom would just extend his legs and gently flex his feet up and down, or do some ankle circles. Tom was amazed at how much this simple addition to his routine helped. His legs felt more relaxed at bedtime, and he was sleeping much better. "It's like my legs were telling me they needed a little attention," Tom said, "and once I started listening, they settled right down." The third change involves paying attention to what we are putting into our bodies throughout the day, not in a complicated, restrictive way, but in a mindful way that supports healthy leg function. Remember my friend Patricia, who discovered her magnesium deficiency was contributing to her nighttime leg issues? Patricia learned that she could boost her magnesium intake naturally by including more foods like leafy greens, nuts, and whole grains in her daily meals. She started having a small handful of almonds as an afternoon snack, added spinach to her morning eggs, and switched to whole grain bread. These weren't dramatic changes, just simple swaps that supported her body's needs. Similarly, making sure we're getting enough potassium can help prevent muscle cramps and restless sensations. Foods like bananas, potatoes, and oranges are great natural sources of potassium. My friend Robert started having a banana with his breakfast each morning and noticed fewer nighttime leg cramps within a couple of weeks. Hydration is another crucial part of this third change. Remember my neighbor Bill, who discovered that better hydration helped his leg comfort? The key is consistent hydration throughout the day, not trying to drink large amounts all at once. Bill started keeping a water bottle nearby and taking small sips regularly, rather than trying to drink big glasses of water at meals. He found that this approach kept him better hydrated without causing frequent bathroom trips that would disrupt his sleep. One thing that's really important to understand is that caffeine and alcohol can both contribute to nighttime leg discomfort in some people. Caffeine can interfere with mineral absorption and affect circulation, while alcohol can lead to dehydration and disrupt sleep patterns that help our muscles recover. My friend Eleanor, who's 68 and has always enjoyed her evening glass of wine, discovered that her nighttime leg restlessness was much worse on days when she had alcohol in the evening. Eleanor didn't want to give up her wine entirely, so she experimented with having it earlier in the day with lunch instead of with dinner. This simple timing change made a noticeable difference in her leg comfort at night. The fourth and final change is about creating the right sleep environment and bedtime routine to support comfortable legs throughout the night. This includes everything from room temperature to bedding choices to sleeping position. Temperature control is more important than most people realize. As I mentioned earlier, my friend Helen found that keeping her room cooler and using lighter blankets helped her legs feel more comfortable. But my neighbor Frank discovered the opposite, that keeping his legs gently warm prevented nighttime cramping. The key is paying attention to your own body's responses and adjusting accordingly. Some people find that wearing loose, comfortable pajama pants helps keep their legs at the right temperature, while others prefer shorts or even sleeping with their legs uncovered. Sleeping position can also make a difference. Some folks find that placing a pillow between their knees helps keep their legs comfortable throughout the night, while others benefit from slightly elevating their feet with a pillow at the foot of the bed. My friend Joyce, who's 71, discovered that her firm mattress was actually contributing to her leg discomfort. Joyce had always prided herself on sleeping on a firm surface, thinking it was better for her back. But when she tried adding a softer mattress topper, she found that her legs felt much more comfortable throughout the night. The important thing about all four of these changes is that they work together. You don't have to implement all of them at once. In fact, it's probably better to try one or two changes first and see how they work for you before adding others. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. These changes sound reasonable, but how do I actually make them stick? How do I turn these ideas into habits that become a natural part of my routine? That's such a practical question, and it's exactly what my friend Sarah asked me when we talked about this topic last week. Sarah is 69, lives alone since her husband passed 2 years ago, and has been struggling with nighttime leg discomfort that's been getting worse over the past few months. Sarah told me, "I can see how these changes might help, but I'm worried I'll try them for a few days and then forget about them or get distracted by other things." Sarah's concern is completely understandable, and it's something I hear from a lot of folks our age. We want to make positive changes, but sometimes it feels overwhelming to add new routines to our already established daily patterns. The good news is that the most effective approach is to start small and build gradually. Let me tell you how Sarah approached this, because her method worked beautifully and might give you some ideas for your own situation. Instead of trying to implement all 4 changes at once, Sarah decided to focus on just one change for the first week, adding those gentle movement breaks throughout her day. Sarah started by setting a soft chime on her kitchen timer to go off every hour. When it chimed, she'd simply stand up from whatever she was doing and walk around her house once. That's it, nothing complicated, nothing that required special equipment or a big-time commitment. Just a gentle reminder to get her blood flowing. That's it. Nothing complicated. Nothing that required special equipment or a big time commitment. Just a gentle reminder to get her blood flowing. By the end of the first week, Sarah noticed that she was starting to stand up and move around naturally, even before the timer went off. Her body was beginning to crave that regular movement. More importantly, she was already noticing that her legs felt less heavy and restless in the evenings. For the second week, Sarah kept up with her movement breaks and added the evening leg elevation routine. She'd prop her legs up on a couple of pillows while she watched her evening television shows. Again, nothing complicated or time-consuming, just a simple addition to something she was already doing. By the third week, Sarah was feeling so much better that she was motivated to add the third change, paying more attention to her hydration and nutrition for leg health. Sarah started her day with a banana in her morning cereal and kept a water bottle on her kitchen counter to remind herself to take regular sips throughout the day. What I love about Sarah's approach is that she built each new habit onto something she was already doing, rather than trying to create entirely new routines from scratch. The movement breaks became part of her existing daily activities. The leg elevation became part of her established evening television time. The better nutrition became part of her regular breakfast routine. By the fourth week, Sarah told me her nighttime leg discomfort had improved dramatically, but more than that, she felt proud of herself for successfully implementing positive changes in her life. I proved to myself that I can still learn new habits and take better care of myself, Sarah said. This gradual approach works because it doesn't overwhelm your existing routines or require you to remember a long list of new things to do. You're simply enhancing habits you already have with small additions that support better leg health. My friend Robert took a slightly different approach that worked well for his personality and lifestyle. Robert is the kind of person who likes to understand exactly why he's doing something and how it's helping. So Robert kept what he called a leg comfort journal for the first month. Each morning, Robert would rate how his legs felt the night before on a simple scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being completely comfortable and 1 being very uncomfortable. Then he'd note which of the 4 changes he'd implemented the day before. This simple tracking helped Robert see which changes were making the biggest difference for his particular situation. Robert discovered that the movement breaks and evening leg elevation had the most dramatic impact on his comfort level, while the dietary changes seemed to help more with preventing occasional cramping. This information helped Robert prioritize which habits to focus on maintaining long-term and which ones to adjust based on his individual needs. For folks who are dealing with more severe or persistent leg discomfort, it's important to remember that these simple routine changes are meant to complement, not replace, appropriate medical care. My friend Margaret, who's 74, found that these changes helped significantly with her general nighttime leg restlessness, but she still needed to work with her doctor to address some underlying circulation issues. Margaret's doctor was actually pleased that she was implementing these healthy changes and told her that they would likely make any medical treatments more effective. The lifestyle changes Margaret was making were supporting her overall leg health and circulation, which created a better foundation for addressing her specific medical needs. What's wonderful about these 4 simple changes is that they're not just good for nighttime leg comfort, they're good for your overall health and well-being. Better circulation, regular gentle movement, good hydration, and quality sleep benefit every part of your body and can contribute to feeling more energetic and comfortable throughout the day. My neighbor Helen, who I mentioned earlier, told me that after implementing these changes for her nighttime leg issues, she noticed she had more energy during the day and felt more steady on her feet. "I started doing this for my legs at night," Helen said, "but it's helped me feel better all around." This brings up an important point. These changes are investments in your overall quality of life, not just solutions to a specific problem. When you move more regularly throughout the day, stay better hydrated, Pay attention to nutrition that supports muscle health and create a comfortable sleep environment. You're supporting your body's ability to function well in many different areas. If you're feeling motivated to try these changes, but you're not sure where to start, I'd suggest picking the one that seems most doable for your current situation. Maybe it's setting a gentle reminder to move around more during the day, or maybe it's starting with some simple evening leg care while you watch television. The most important thing is to start somewhere and be patient with yourself as you develop new habits. Remember, these are changes you're making to improve your comfort and quality of life. They should enhance your daily routine, not make it feel burdensome or stressful. I'd love to hear from you about your experiences with nighttime leg discomfort. Have you tried any of these approaches? What's worked best for you? Are there other simple changes you've discovered that help your legs feel more comfortable at night? Your experiences could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Remember, you deserve to sleep comfortably and wake up feeling rested. Nighttime leg discomfort doesn't have to be something you just accept or endure. With some simple, practical changes to your daily routine, many folks find significant improvement in how their legs feel at night. Take care of yourselves, listen to what your body is telling you, and don't hesitate to experiment with gentle changes that might help you sleep more comfortably. Good rest is one of the foundations of feeling good during the day, and comfortable legs are an important part of getting that rest. Before we wrap up, I want to say a big thank you for joining me in this conversation. If you found these insights helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future ideas for living your healthiest, most comfortable life. And let's just keep this conversation going. Tell me in the comments, which of these simple changes are you excited to try first? I'm here to cheer you on, and I know you've got this. Here's to more restful nights and happier, healthier days ahead.